from a branch and its tail got hooked on a thorn. And because it was hooked right at the top of its tail, it didn't have the strength to get back up onto that branch and somehow be able to unhook itself, therefore making it a very easy target for them to just continue pecking on the head. So a sad fate for that young python, but in all fairness, it was trying to kill the weaver's baby, so they did what they needed to do, and that is nature. And it even happens with get injured or even killed hunting buffaloes. So it does occasionally happen that the victims manage to turn the tables, and this is one of those unique examples. So I just came back to have a look and let you know about that. And here we are at Vuyatela Dam. It's turned out to be a beautiful sunny day. There's no clouds in the sky. It is quite hot, but there's a nice breeze blowing which helps us. And Mark is out on the other vehicle with Jason, so you'll be meeting up with them a little bit later. And let's see, there's a grey heron stalking the banks of the dam, and it is hunting. So let's spend a moment or two with this heron and see if it doesn't show us its incredible ability in being able to catch prey in this murky water. It'll be using its feet as sensors to help aid in feeling anything swim off, and then somehow he or she manages to know where to dart that sharp beak, thus catching the prey. So let's keep an eye on it and see what happens here. Great prospects for the afternoon while we're watching this heron. Again, to recap, for those of you who weren't with us this morning, we had a great morning, starting this incredible sight with beaver birds attacking this rock python. And we managed to find 2 big male lions on a buffalo kill that they had made last night with the help of Jason and his master tracking skills. He saw the drag mark across the road where they dragged the buffalo from one side of the road to the other. And you may hear a vehicle approaching. So don't be alarmed, there's nothing to worry about. It's a good friend of ours, and Mark's come along to also have a look at this python. He's very jealous that we managed to see this, and it is a very unique sighting. So as I did mention, very lucky to have witnessed it, and it's something that he's never seen in his life, and he thought he would come over. Afternoon, Mark. To have a look for himself. How are you doing?
I can't believe this.
So if you see,
hi everybody.
Have you seen? If you
I can see it hanging there. I'm blown away. I mean, I'm absolutely blown away.
It is incredible. It is not easy to watch because they're such beautiful snakes, the pythons, as
and
you will
it's such
agree.
a youngster too.
Yeah.
But you know, not only I've seen snakes attacking weavers, and I've seen them mobbing them, that they just drop out of a tree, even in the Cape, in eucalyptuses, where they've fallen 20-30 feet.
Okay.
And they can survive that kind of a fall. But as you said, it looks like its tail got stuck and it just couldn't get away from them.
Yeah. It actually managed to latch onto one, Mark, incredibly. So while it was trying to defend itself, and I mean it was already pretty far gone by the time I left, but after I left this morning, it managed to latch onto a weaver temporarily, obviously just trying to defend itself, but didn't hang on for very long. It was very weak,
Unbelievable.
even by that stage.
I don't think anybody's ever seen anything like this.
Now the next question is, do you think a bird of prey of some description, or what animal is it that's going to get to that python? Because that's an easy meal, but it will be very difficult to spot.
To get to it though. No, I don't know about difficult to spot, but certainly difficult to get to.
For a big bird of prey, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of thin branches. I'm looking through my binoculars. I'm just looking at how red it is around the face. That thing must have been picked pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean, just in the time that even we... And how lucky are we, Mark, to have the Waterhole camera here? I mean, what are the chances of us coming across something like this? It's so useful to have the
Well, I
Waterhole
was
camera.
hoping, you know, we've not only had this colony, but with also the Treehouse Dam colony, and the amount of time that we go past Treehouse, we kind of, by law of averages, bound to eventually find something, if not a snake, then maybe a gymnogene or another raptor, or God forbid the baboons pulling them apart. Because they do face their predators, they do have a lot of things that try and get them, no matter how secure they think their nests are, no matter how the process of building their nests and evolutionary adaptation has made them build them on the ends of branches. It's not going to be a big bird that's going to be able to sit on it, and so it's only really something like a gymnogene or harrier hawk that's going to hang upside down.
Yeah.
But at best, I thought maybe we'd get a cuckoo hanging around, or maybe a snake getting close, and the weavers mobbing it. But never in my life would I have thought that they would go that, well, not that they would go that far, that we would see the extreme of it all.
Yeah, it really is.
And I think it just goes to show that, you know, we might think that they're pretty vulnerable, and that a snake is probably always either going to win or it's going to get away. But here's a really perfect example of a snake that didn't get away.
Exactly. And I mean, I just mentioned earlier, the same applies to all predators, even lion, the top of the food chain. The roles can be reversed. You know, buffalo can get a hold of a lion and cause major damage to it. So occasionally,
I've seen that too. Yeah.
The hunter become the hunted, I guess.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to leave you to it. I want to go and familiarize myself with that area where those lion are on weavers.
Perfect.
Just to see where they are, and then we'll go look for ellies and stuff. There was a nice herd of ellies having a mud bath at Sydney's Dam on the way in. I guess I might head up that way, but I don't really have good signal there with Tiga.
Okay.
Which way are you heading?
I'm probably just going to float around, maybe head to the east and then the southern parts in the east, and then work myself west.
Let me go and see, because there might be more ellies crossing that sort of pathway that's going up to the Buffelshoek, that big dam on Buffelshoek.
Sounds good, Mark. And then those lines are just between the road and the drainage line, so you'll see the vehicle tracks heading down towards the drainage line.
And then are you going to cross over onto?
Eventually,
probably. Yeah. Have a good one.
Thanks, Marcus. Take it easy.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you later.
Jason, good luck out there.
Hey.
Okay. Well, there are quite a few different animals here at the Waterhole today. There's the buffalo that VM's zooming into now. And then some of the smaller critters. There's an Egyptian goose, who in all likelihood is one of the adults that has been raising the 7 goslings. I can't see the others from here, but they're no doubt somewhere around. Oh, there they are in the background. There's one of the goslings feeding off to the left. And also a hippopotamus. And he likes that spot close to that branch that sticks out there. I'm not sure if there is another branch potentially under the water that we can't see that it can use as kind of a pillow to keep its chin up or nostrils out of the water. And then let's give this heron another minute or two. Hopefully we'll get lucky and see it strike. It's incredible how quickly it can propel that head forward with that long thin neck. And like I said earlier, I mean, it certainly can't see very well into this chocolate brown water, so incredible abilities to be able to catch prey in this kind of an environment. And as you can see, it requires incredible focus. Now, because of this hunting technique, they can sometimes catch prey larger than they can possibly swallow, because they simply strike out at any movement, and that provides incredibly entertaining viewing, because they try their best to get whatever they catch down that throat, and sometimes with large fish or even large frogs they can really battle. There's a chance it could catch a decent sized catfish in this dam, or possibly tilapia, another kind of fish that we could well get in this dam. But usually, out of all the times I have watched the grey heron hunting, they are often catching small prey, even too small to tell. Oh, look at that. Sense something there. Are we gonna get lucky? He's poised. Well, it's poised. She's poised. Very difficult to sex some birds, and this is one of them. Evidently, patience is something that you need as a trait to be a heron. I mean, it's incredible how long it needs to stay poised and focused for. And this is something, the reason why we're spending time here now, because it is very hot, and this could well be the best entertainment available to us at the moment, and it is, after all, the predator on the hunt, which usually gets people excited, especially if the predators are furry. So we've just substituted for, oh, look at that! It got something. It certainly swallowed something. Sadly, we couldn't tell what it was. And if you blinked, you would have missed it. But if you didn't blink, you would have seen an incredible turn of speed as it exploded that head forward and nabbed something, like I say, something fairly small, but it certainly swallowed whatever it was that it went for. So a successful hunt. Well done, Mr. Heron. Your patience paid off, and so did ours. And now we can continue. Had some monkeys alarm calling around here this morning, and they in all likelihood were up at the top of the dam, where I know they roost at night. And they could have been, I doubt they would have been alarming at the should have been. Got incredibly good eyesight. But I'm guessing there could have been a leopard lurking around here, and if it wasn't seen by the waterhole, well, that's possible because the water was looking at us in the beavers. So possible that the leopard came down and we just missed it. But I would like to snoop about that this dam. It is an area where Karula, Kunyuma and Quarantine, 3 leopard that we see a lot around the camp, or more than any others, do hang out, so we might get lucky there. Okay. Alex, good afternoon, and can't express enough gratitude for the work that he does in that. It's a tricky job, especially because he has to wave us goodbye on these adventures every afternoon, so let's take our hats off to him for the good job that he's doing from there. Okay, so I'm just going to be checking the road network very carefully from here, as it may provide us with some clues as to whether a leopard did move through this area. But as I did mention, the monkeys could have been alarm calling at any predator. I'm just hoping it was a leopard. So, Mark's going to go and have a quick look at the line to see what they're up to, the 2 males that made the buffalo kill. It's not far from here, so we might be able to go across and see him investigating that situation. And what I didn't get around to mentioning is that there was another pride of lion that we managed to see this morning, a pride of lion, to see what they're up to, the 2 males that made the buffalo kill. It's not far from here, so we might be able to go across and see him investigating that situation. And what I didn't get around to mentioning is that there was another pride of lion that we managed to see this morning, a pride of lion that I haven't seen before since I've been here, but funnily enough, I would have seen the 4 adult females that broke away from the Salala pride, which is a pride that used to inhabit an area where I worked for 3.5 years to the south of here in the Sabi Sands. So I would have seen those 4 lioness when they were young cubs. They were born in 2009, and that was in the middle of my stay in my initial stint in the Sabi Sands. So I would have seen these mothers as cubs. A few years ago. And now they've got 9 cubs of their 13 until the them.
Hi everybody. I just come past a couple of the wood, the wallows or mud pans that we have at Chalapan, and on the way up here to Weaver's Nest. There's lion on the buffalo kill further back, but I thought I'd just do a loop around past Treehouse Dam. It's a kind of hot afternoon where if there are elephants around, they're likely to be around a dam or down at the water and having a mud bath or a swim. I'd imagine on a very hot day like today, with the lion that Scott found, there's a batelier and another batelier. Is this where the kill is, Jason?
Yeah.
I thought it was further back, but yes, I guess this is where it is. Which means if batelier are on the carcass, I see quite a mess going on here.
They're just in the remnants of there, but the actual buffs on that side of it.
Okay, so the batelier have been. This is probably where they killed it, yeah? I see it there in the sun. Yesterday when I was tracking leopard, I scared a buffalo off down in a wallow at the bottom of Philemon's Dip. I wonder if it's not the same buff. Be interesting. Okay, so it's still very hot, and there's not likely much going to be happening in the middle of the sunlight, but interesting, no vultures around yet. We'll come back and find those cats. I have no doubt they're still around here somewhere. But in this heat, well, they'll be flat cats. I'm going to go and have a look at Treehouse Dam. Maybe we'll even go down to Twin Dams. Hot day like today. Need to find something at the water. Not necessarily drinking, because it's not really the kind of temperatures or the kind of weather where animals are going to be thirsty. There's so much moisture in the vegetation. So they're not that dependent on water, although they will drink freely when they get to water. Welcome to Wild Earth or Safari Live. It's great to have you with us on this lovely hot summer's day. There's some elephant tracks. I've been seeing some elephant tracks, but so far none of them at any of the waterholes or mud wallows that I've passed. We did see some elephants up at Big Dam on Buffelshoek when we came in through the gate, or just past the gate this afternoon. That would have been at about, well, just after 3, so about an hour ago at least. And then, while I could possibly head up that way, and not possibly, I could head up that way. We can go and see what we can see up there. Can't guarantee that those pachyderms are still going to be at the water, but there's probably going to be more. There is a highway, there's an elephant highway that brings a lot of elephants up from the Sabi, Western Sabi Sand going back into Kruger. But for now, let's see what there is here at Treehouse Dam. There are quite a few fresh tracks around. Quite a few bulls moving past, not even heading down. There's some family group that might have been here. Trying to approach from the west with the sun behind us, rather. Hashtag Safari Live or questions at wildearth.tv if you want to send any questions. Gladly answer them or gladly address any issues you have to raise, anything we want to talk about. We're back to summer, we're back to normal summer temperatures. We've had a few days of really odd, cool weather. Almost every morning's been a bit cloudy. And suddenly we're back to a very high pressure system. Temperatures are skyrocketing. Probably into the high 30s now. From the low 30s or averages of the high 20s, low 30s the last few days. And any spike in temperature like this can only mean that maybe there's some good rain coming again. Alex saying, has just done a quick temperature check, saying I don't know which site it is, but it says it's above 38. It's pretty close, I think, today. I'd say maybe 35. 38 is sort of that heat that, or it could have been earlier, by lunchtime it was. Maybe cooling down a little bit going into the late afternoon, so maybe it's dropped down to 35, 34 now. But I've no doubt that it was probably close to 38 earlier today, which is, I don't know, roughly about 100 Fahrenheit. Nothing, not even a buffalo. I'll swing by our other colony of weavers. Spark past Treehouse Dam. We're going to have to head into the sun a little bit. This colony is quite peaceful, nothing untoward. Sally, so Sally in Wisconsin. What kind of weavers are nesting at the dam? Well, they appear to be what we used to call the mast weavers. I believe now they're called the village weavers. They're one of the few social weaver species that build nests in colonies. And if you would like, while we're driving up towards Spum Road, I think we'll go up Spum Road and then maybe to Rebecca's and Zoe's. We'll go and have a look. That's the west, northwest. And on the way I'll see if I can bring out, I'll find it, a bird book somewhere in the box. That one. Also got color coding, so it could be that one. This is probably trees. It's flowers. So you can stop shaking. And birds. Find some nice shade shortly. Maybe up towards those mud pans at Spum Road. Quite hot this afternoon. And that looked like it was a pearl-spotted owlet. Yeah, just to abandon the book briefly. No, it was a kingfisher. But it was chestnut-bellied, which is the grey-headed. This is a different. Oh, it's gone. Well, no, it's there. Can you still get it, Jason?
I didn't. Oh, there it is.
It's dropped down lower. This kingfisher is probably one of the rarer of the kingfishers that we don't get to see. And is now more known as the grey-headed kingfisher. It used to be known as the chestnut-bellied kingfisher. Have you got it somewhere?
Bottom right.
Oh, there in the bottom right. Can't get any closer, but it's quite distinct. I'm sorry, I've got my sunglasses on. I forgot about that. But I'll have to show you. Maybe we can get a picture in the book. A very distinct sort of chestnut colour on the belly. If I go back, do you think we get a better?
No.
Pretty much.
Fine, I'll come to the book.
Pretty much it. But it just looked different to the brown hooded and the. Remember, we get the grey hooded. This is the grey headed. This one here down the bottom. The stripe that used to be known as the grey hooded, I think it was. And it's not even telling me the old names. So this is the kingfisher that used to be grey-headed or grey-hooded. Now they're telling me different. The striped we see very seldom, but the stripe does occur here. This little one, it's a lot much smaller kingfisher. And then of course the brown-headed, which is a little bit suppressed now because of the woodlands being here. The woodlands kingfisher tend to push them out of their territories. And there, of course, up in the top left is the woodlands kingfisher. This cousin of the woodlands, very similar, but as you can see, it doesn't have the black lower mandible that the woodlands does have. So it's an all-red bull, but only found on the coast amongst the mangroves of the East African and Southeast African coast. Sort of our northern KwaZulu-Natal coast going up into Tanzania and Kenya, where the mangroves become quite prominent, red and white mangroves. But that's quite a nice kingfisher to see. What I used to know as the chestnut-bellied. Now the grey-hooded or grey-headed. Make up your mind, ornithologists. I guess it's just another kingfisher to add to the list. So if we have to look at our list, we're likely to see giant kingfisher and the pied kingfisher, which are two of the fishing kingfishers. There is the woodland, the brown-headed, the grey-headed now, the pygmy and the malachite. How many is that? That's like about 8 already. I forget. Probably, much like the woodpeckers, I suppose, probably one of the most varied, rather diverse bird groups that we get here. I mean, there are a lot of other birds that we get, maybe a few doves, there are obviously a few different eagle species, a few vulture species. But I think when it comes to the woodpeckers and the kingfishers, they're probably the most numerous species in any one area, because they've managed to carve themselves niches that don't quite overlap, so that their competition isn't so great that enough of them can coexist without stepping on each other's toes or eating each other's grasshoppers, for that matter. One of the only places we've really seen a pygmy is around these little wallows, which means that they live nearby, and that's why we've consistently seen pygmy kingfisher here. They're little, they're tiny little birds. just want to touch on Gowrie Main and we'll be heading a little bit further north shortly. Lovely big thunderstorm brewing in the south that we're going to keep an eye on. There's some old giraffe tracks of giraffe crossing into Gowrie. Did you see any giraffe this morning?
Yep. Watched it. Nice.
Heading north, maybe we can, when we're crisscrossing roads, we might find some fresher tracks. That's a little bit too old to even think of following. Female giraffe. Could have been others further east, west, or east of the road that I didn't see. Hello, Bonnie. Bonnie and parrots. Bonnie has some African grey parrots. Loving the bird sounds. Hopefully, Bonnie, they're going to start mimicking them. Probably if they hear them often enough, they'll start mimicking some of the sounds. And Bonnie's saying that she and the parrots are loving the drives and the bird sounds. Do we have any African grey parrots here? No, Bonnie, we don't. The African greys are more Central African and West African, where the tropical rainforest exists, because this is not quite the habitat for African grey parrots. They need those massive trees that you find in the tropical rainforests. That looked like a golden oriole. There's a golden oriole that just flew out. Or is it a black-headed? Now that I hear it, sounds like a black-headed. We only get the brown-headed parrot. It was here somewhere. I heard it, but it stopped or it's left. But that was a black-headed oriole. And well, we can try and find some brown-headed parrots. The only way we can really find them easily enough is when we hear them screeching, because as with all parrots, they do have quite a high-pitched screech. I love it how in the odd TV program you find lovebirds or parrots in the scene and they dub it with the sound of finches or something, because they obviously can't have the sound of parrots, drowning out the sound of the dialogue in the movie. So you have these lovebirds or parrots in the background and they twittering away like zebra finches or something. Not to say that parrots won't squeak like that. It's like the same soundtrack of an eagle plays whenever you see an eagle in a movie. It's always this one soundtrack that seems to be the stock soundtrack of some eagle or bird of prey. Can't even do it. Sort of like a very high-pitched whistle. Eagle screech. If not, why not? Who's to know that parrots and lovebirds don't chirp like finches? I really would like to spend some time with an elephant. We had a lovely experience last night with a big elephant must in bull. I mean a bull in must. Gee, listen to me. A must in bull. Just got to be careful of those elephant musts in bull. And this bull, it was a huge bull, and he was walking in the road and he wouldn't let us pass, so we just had nothing to do but to amble on behind him. And there's actually not much worse you can do as drive behind a walking elephant. So we try to keep our distance. It was dark, it was getting late, we needed to be back in Manyeleti. We didn't push him, we just left him to walk, and we must have followed him for considerable distance, and eventually where there was a big pan, big mud wallow, actually it's more like a big pan, a big reed marshy pan, we eventually turned off, and we were lucky enough to just, I wouldn't say sneak past him, but we just drove very quietly and carefully past him, not shining lights, and he let us go, although he did turn his head and he did shake his ears a little. Oh, Jenny in Portland. Thanks, Jenny. That movie sound you hear of any type of eagle that you get is actually the red-tailed hawk. I should have known that. I was watching red-tailed hawks. I was lucky enough to see red-tailed hawks in Central Park, in fact. But I didn't see, if I remember correctly, there was a white-tailed, red-tailed hawk. If that makes any sense. Was it? I don't remember. There was a particular red-tailed hawk that captured the imagination of everybody. Probably well over 10 years ago. I was there in '96 up in Belvedere Castle with a raptor study group. They were documenting all the different raptors that came over or into Central Park, and it was great to sit with them for an afternoon and talk about raptors and see whatever we could see. Interesting that somebody went to look at those lions where the buffalo kill is, and they're saying that the visual is 0 out of 5, which means you can't see them. They're right down in the drainage lines. So we'll leave it until it gets a little bit cooler, around about sunset or something. We're going to amble around and see what else we can find till sunset, and then I'm sure once things cool down they're going to maybe get up and go back to their carcass. But great that we've got another buffalo kill very close by. But now coming up onto the end of Elamongi. Coming up on the western end of Philemon's Cut Line, we get this beautiful view of the west. I want to show you this thunderhead that I had a glimpse of earlier. It's brewing, it's turning into a big mushroom, and we'll keep it. It's not going to come here. It's already along the mountain. It's going to move along the escarpment, but it's going to show us, it's going to give us some good visuals. And as long as we stop and have a look at it every now and then in the afternoon, in fact, all the other storms that are going to be building up after it, if we start with the one first this one that we can see that is only just beginning to build up now. Maybe just close it up a little bit. No, that doesn't help. Still too bright to get to see it properly. Almost see that lovely cloud build up. And then there's another one behind it that almost seems to be flattening out into an anvil already. That tabletop anvil of a cloud now in the south, a little bit behind it. So there's no doubt that there's some weather build up, and in the next couple of days hopefully we're going to get some of that a little bit closer to home. We can have an afternoon thunderstorm. I'm not wishing anything on the drive that it cancels it, but I certainly wish that we have a couple of afternoon thunderstorms. Only because we need it. We need to just keep the summer flowing. We need to keep the water flowing, things going and growing. But a cloudless sky this afternoon apart from those, and that means that it's very, very bright, so excuse the shades. I need some UV filter. We also have a very strong or very constant northerly wind, almost northwesterly, what we call a berg wind. It's quite a warm wind coming in from the north-northwest. This is normally a kind of wind that is associated with the onset of rains coming in. Some of the Shangaan believe that when the wind comes, the rain and bring it back, which I believe too. I'm going slowly because I want to creep up on a tiny little mud wallow that's sort of just a little bit bigger than warthog size, coming up on the left shortly. And it's a mud wallow where we saw a crab hole earlier. Just up ahead of us. And on the side of that there was a freshwater crab's burrow. Probably not going to be them now. No, doesn't look like it. They do tend to be more nocturnal than diurnal. Still looks active. Looks like there are actually a couple more too. I don't know if they're also crabs. I didn't copy Scott's response. Okay, thanks. There's negative in the drainage line, so I'm going to have to go back there a bit later. Okay, copy. I'm heading up to Sandy Patch. A hot afternoon with that, as hot as it is today, is going to be like this. It's going to be animals in the shade, like these warthog. Then we go back a bit. We go forward, we're going to lose them and they're going to run away, but at least we get to see them a little bit. But most animals not doing much but in the shade, and we're going to be lucky to find some things before it gets to be about 5 or 6 o'clock, or really rather 6. Don't run away, piglets. Well, thanks to Annie, Zumi, I guess at the moment, that a woodlands kingfisher is actually having a go at that dead rock python hanging in the tree at the weaver's nest. What have we got here? Old hyena tracks and grass tracks. Snake tracks, civets from last night. Grass tracks are where the head of a blade of, or a flower head of grass is hanging down and the wind blows it and it brushes in this sort of semicircle pattern. It's really pretty. Sure. More hyena, who knows, maybe they're back at the den site. Anyways, well, we're going to head up onto Impala Plains and Impala Road, going up to Sandy Patch. I think we'll go and see what Scott's up to for a little bit, because we're still going to be heading into the sun for a while. And we'll see you a little bit later.
welcome back. No major updates from myself and VM. Sadly, haven't come up with any sign of leopard around the dam or anywhere really, but have been searching the roads for any tracks. Nothing yet. And we're slowly now making our way west towards Arathusa, where we'd like to spend the afternoon in the hope of being in the right place at the right time to see this pride of 13 lions, ideally on the move. So that's where we're slowly making our way to now. We'll probably stop off at the Arathusa airstrip beforehand and check what's going out there. It's a beautiful open clearing and can often provide some great general game viewing. So we'll maybe start off and then work our way south towards the line a little bit later as it cools down. It'll be interesting to see when this pride does get active, because it does have quite a few youngsters, and that may induce them to get going earlier, because the youngsters may be a little bit restless and also hungry. So let's see what happens. Usually at this time of the year, the general trend, and I can't emphasize enough the general, it's not a fixed thing, but they are tending to kind of start putting their heads up at around 6:30 and getting by around 7, which doesn't suit our broadcasting times very well. But it is what it is. Anyway, hopefully they'll get active a little bit earlier this afternoon. But between now and then, it would make most sense for us to look for other exciting scenarios elsewhere. For other exciting scenarios elsewhere. Fairly certain Mark's already been down the neck of the woods, not necessarily this specific road, but I think he has worked through this general area. Too serious going on at Trias Dam, so we will continue. Okay. looking enough. Ooh, that is cold. Yeah. Beautiful Wahlberg's eagle, pale form, sitting in this tree. I'm not sure what it's looking down at. It does appear to be looking down at something, and you can hear another bird calling. That's a fork-tailed drongo. Now, if we watch for long enough, this fork-tailed drongo, I can almost assure you, is going to fly down and peck the Wahlberg's eagle on the back of the head. So don't move a muscle and keep a close eye on this. Ooh. Wahlbergs just gave us a very nice feather ruffle there. Oh, here it goes. Boom. It is one of my favorite things to see, these little birds bullying the big birds of prey. And keep watching, because it could well happen again. Oh, and it looks like a second drongo's coming. So now this, oh, there we go, and off it goes. And well done, VM. And I'm glad you got to see that, folks. A good little bit of interaction between the David and Goliath, I guess, of the bird world. And I'm glad we got to see that. Well, the Wahlberg's eagle, that you may have noticed I said is the pale form. They are normally a chocolate brown color, but you do occasionally get this pale morph. Good. I'm glad the drongo played along and provided us with that. I've got some You'll be able to hear the birds again now. They're called Aramark babblers, but they did fly off. And they are called babblers for a very good reason. from that call of theirs, which is very distinctive. I've just seen a green pigeon fly out of this tree, and it's an incredibly pretty bird, the green pigeon. But I'm wondering if it's not nesting in here. I've only ever seen them nesting once, and it was in a marula tree. I think we may just find a nest if we have a look around here. Not easy to see anything at first glance. I got an idea of where it flew off from. But not a very accurate one. Maybe it's just perched here. I'll keep an eye next time I come past. Oh, hear the Aramark babblers, you'll really be able to hear them now. Sounds like they may be having a dispute with another flock. Oh yeah, here we go. You can see these ones falling over here. We might just be able to get them. So you can hear the communication between two different flocks. What exactly is going on, I'm not too sure. Anyway, the birds are having a good time this afternoon. Questions just come through from Bill. Good afternoon, Bill. Bill's asking whether there's any birds of prey that work together to hunt. There certainly are. The African cuckoo hawk, no, certainly does. They hunt in pairs. Not always, but they often do. One will flush the prey from low down and the other will be waiting higher up to then plummet down onto the prey at speed. I'm just trying to think of any others, and certainly I can't come to think of any, but I'm sure there are more. It's just my brain does not appear to be working too well this afternoon. What others are there that I can think of? Birds of prey hunting together. Well, pelicans, for example, are a bird of prey, I guess, and they certainly do hunt together, and even other birds sometimes join in, and interspecies will even join in being able to almost herd fish by moving together. They can push fish up against the banks of a river or encircle them. So it does happen with pelicans and other water birds, certainly. But in terms of the raptors, I can't think of any others other than the African cuckoo hawk as an exact example. I'm sure Mark may know of a few more. But a good question, Bill, and I would like to hear what people suggest and say about the potential relationships that other birds of prey may have with one another when hunting. Afternoon. How you doing? Okay, so thanks very much for that, Alex. The Verreaux's eagle or black eagle and the crowned eagle hunt together. Interesting, the African crowned eagle. Those are two of our biggest, most impressive birds. Thanks, Alex. And the secretary bird, which mainly hunts on the ground and actually often targets snakes. Very interesting looking bird, the secretary bird. Do yourself a favor and Google it if you'd like to. I also have some great YouTube videos of them hunting. So thanks, Alex, for that research. But as I was saying, the Verreaux's eagle and crowned eagle are two of our most impressive eagles in southern Africa. The Verreaux's, or other formerly known as a black eagle, is an incredibly beautiful eagle and very large, as is the crowned eagle. Crowned eagle is probably one of my favorite raptors, or is my favorite raptor. They're addicted to hunting and living in forests, so they've got a very deep wing, not very long in the wingspan, but incredibly powerful bird, and they often hunt monkeys, small antelope, quite large prey. Exceptionally powerful birds. A friend of mine up in Kenya has actually got both a crowned eagle and a Verreaux's eagle that he's rehabilitating, that were injured, and to see both of those birds up close and personal really is a privilege, because you get an idea of how incredibly beautiful they are, and also you do handle them, and well, he does, and once we did have to handle the crowned eagle to give it some medication, and the strength that that bird had was just incredibly overwhelming. I held on to both of its legs. It was on its back. We had caught it in the nets, the crowned eagle, and it was on its back, and I held on to each leg while Martin, my friend, was administering the medicine that it needed. And I was literally on my knees with all my body weight down on it, and it was still throwing me up. And it's only a 5 kilogram roughly bird, about a 10 pound, 11 pound bird. So I was absolutely shocked at its strength from its talons and legs. And apparently they could even break the forearm of a human, not from the impact of landing, latching on, but from being perched to simply just crush it. They can apparently break your average human's forearm. So hard to believe. Good question though. Facts, which Alex thoroughly researched. Got a comment through from Matt in Texas. Afternoon, and thanks for putting through this information. There's a bird in the US called the Harris hawk, and they hunt in groups of as many as 5 or 6. I've actually watched a documentary on those, Matt. I think they live in quite dry areas, and I've seen them hunting from cactus to cactus, I remember. But incredible how they form together in even bigger groups than just a pair. So thanks for pointing that out. The US does have some incredible birds of prey, especially the one in South Africa. I've forgotten its name. It's a monstrous bird of prey. It's essentially the South American equivalent of our crowned eagle. What is it called? One of you will remind me, I'm sure. But an incredible large raptor that's on a lives in jungles and forests of America, and it hunts large prey or wild monkeys. Okay, Alex, I'm not sure what Mark's up to, but I'm going to need to have a little chat on the Game Drive channel now, which may interfere with the broadcast. So potentially in a few minutes we can cut back to Mark and see what he's up to. Although, Alex, I'm just thinking now, maybe let me just get down to the airstrip. It'll need to be a couple of minutes, see how things go down there, and then we can link across to Mark, and then I can have a chat. It's not urgent for me to chat to them now. It's still a bit early, so we'll give Mark a bit longer. Oh, well, there are some warthog ahead, but that's not why I stopped. There's a tiny little piglet there, and I'm hoping this mother continues down the road towards us, because it looks like quite a small piglet. You probably are battling to see it, but there is a little piglet just to the right of her mother, and oh, there they go, running down the road. Cute. 3 little piglets trundling off, and the reason why I jammed on brakes, because I believe I'm seeing some leopard tracks. Well, I was completely wrong. They are not leopard tracks. It's a whole pride of lion, in fact, that walked down this road. So that is where I went wrong. And it is the same lion that we found a few miles from here that hopefully we're going to be going to have a look at a little bit later. So that is that. Okay, so as you would have heard, we are close to the Arathusa airstrip. We're just going to have a quick look here to see what's going on, and then we'll cut back to Mark and see what he's been up to in the last while. Quite bizarre change of scenery to not have a cloud in the sky. We've been having some beautiful cloud formations over the last week. Just in the far and west, there are some big clouds building up over the Drakensberg Mountains. That shouldn't have any effect on us, but no immediate cloud cover around us or cloud formations. Sure guys, very good. How are things? So it appears that that vehicle is setting a bush dinner or some form of an event. You can see a lot of chairs piled up there, and a beautiful thing that a lot of the lodges do is have dinners out under the stars at night, so you literally go straight from the evening game drive straight into a bush dinner with a barbecue or a braai. Yep, there's one not drinking. Yeah, okay, that's a beautiful sight. The sun may not be ideal. We will have water bucket, hopefully more than one drinking, which is going to be a beautiful sight. Beautiful. The sun may not be ideal. See how they respond to us. No. Quick drink. Like I said, they do get alarmed when they do drink, so as it is a potentially vulnerable point for them with their heads down. And I know that predators can often lurk and ambush around waterholes, so we'll keep an eye on these waterbuck, and hopefully the others will come and have a drink. I can hear a go-away bird, as you probably can as well, in the background. I'm trying to see where it is, to see what it may be shouting at. And there we have an Egyptian goose and another beautiful big male waterbuck in the shot. And it looks like the one at the water's edge may come down for another drink. Yeah, beautiful. It's gonna, no, we'll stay here. You can see how alert he is, not taking any chances. Another reason why they'll be highly alert is because of the wind we're experiencing today. So it's fairly windy. And when the wind is very high, like it is this afternoon, they basically lose a sense. Their ability to hear anything approaching them becomes muffled by the wind, and therefore they can be quite nervous in windy weather. Look at them parading proudly. Shame the one in the middle has got a serious problem. A growth of sorts from the center of its stomach. That doesn't look pretty. I'm not sure what exactly that could be, but it's a very large growth, and it looks like it's almost been perforated, and I don't know. But animals are incredibly tough and resilient, and it looks healthy, but it does have that large, strange growth from the center of its stomach. wouldn't it be nice for a cheetah to pop its head up now? Okay, well, not too much going on here. Alex, if you could just go again with the name of who asked that, please. Stuart in Boston. Afternoon, Stuart in Boston. And Stuart's just asked whether if any of the guides see an animal that's got a contagious disease of any sort, will it be exterminated? What a beautiful shot. Very distinctive white circle on their rump that the waterbuck have. And how wonderful that they are following in that trail from small, medium to large. The perfect example of progression. Oh, and here's another one that just popped into the shots. Beautiful. Yes, they will be exterminated. For obvious reasons, they would not want that contagious disease to spread through to the other animals that it could affect. So an example that we face here in the Sabi Sands often comes in with rabies. Now, the interesting thing with rabies is that when domestic dogs don't have rabies, they tend to stay with their owners and act as normal. However, we find when they do get rabies, a lot of the dogs that live in the communities surrounding this reserve become wild to a degree, and therefore have this urge to come into the reserve, and therefore when there are rabies outbreaks outside of the reserve, we do find increased numbers of these domestic dogs. If they fight with wild dogs, that would be one of the main concerns, the interaction with wild dogs, because that then will be passed on to them, and a whole pack of wild dogs will be wiped out from rabies if one member gets it, because they are so highly social. So there have been examples of packs of wild dog being lost due to rabies, and due to that, if we were to see, it was the policy, if we did see a domestic dog with rabies, we would shoot it on sight and dispose of it very carefully. You've got to be very careful when dealing with rabid animals. Even just handling a dead rabid dog, you could get rabies, and there's no cure for rabies. So once you've got it, you're in trouble. And in the same breath, in my time here, 3.5 years, one lion did have to get put down because it did get rabies from interacting with one of these domestic dogs, and that lion then did have to get put down. So it does happen, thankfully not very often, and that's the only example that I can think of in terms of contagious diseases. Yeah, good question, but thankfully it's not something that happens too often out here. Well, we are going to carry on, and I do need to chat on the Game Drive channel and establish what's going on here with this potential lion sighting that I'd like to head towards. So we will be cutting across to Mark shortly to get an update on what he's up to, and we will catch up with you guys later. Enjoy Mark and his adventures.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to Jigger. I've done a lot of ground. I've covered quite a bit of ground this afternoon, and Well, being quite a hot afternoon, not much is stirring yet. I'm hoping that's going to change once it starts cooling down in the next hour or so. Storms in the southwest, flattening out into just banks of cloud. They've rained themselves out, I guess. A few tracks of things here and there, mostly from this morning. A lot of bird tracks on top of them. A lot of the usual smaller creatures that you might find that'll move around during the day on top of animals that moved around in the morning. But it doesn't seem that there has been much at all moving around this afternoon. I made a trip all the way up Rebecca's and Zoe's and headed up to the big dam on Riffleshoek, where I saw some elephant earlier. They've moved on. And now we're just zigzagging around trying to find some signs of animal movement, but of course it's been a very hot day, so nothing's really been moving around at all. We're still going to be a little while before we get back to where the lion are, because they're not going to be doing much just yet. So I'm going to zigzag my way back to Gowrie Dam. I'd like to just stop in and have a look at what's happening with that python that's hanging in the tree where the weaver nest is. For those of you joining us late, Scott and Jason this morning were lucky enough to find a young python attacking the weaver nest, or trying to get into the weaver nest, and of course they defended it vehemently. And a colony of weavers is nothing to mess with when it comes to defending their nests. And it would appear that the snake got caught up in maybe some of the thorns in the tree and it couldn't get away, and the weaver birds pecked it to death. Some fairly fresh elephant trap. They must have been at the dam earlier. Anyways, poor python's been hanging in that tree. I believe a little bit earlier there was a woodlands kingfisher that was trying to get at it. And I guess the woodlands kingfisher might be able to peck at it enough to get something from it. Of course the woodpecker does, or rather the woodlands kingfisher doesn't have the predatory bill with a hook to the bill that enables it to tear flesh off of a carcass like a snake carcass. And it's way too big to swallow whole. So generally kingfishers, if they're going to catch something, they do tend to mostly swallow it whole. It'll be interesting to make our way down there and have a look. Aha, these elephant tracks they're around here, so they might be close by.
On right.
Am I right?
On your right.
A herd of elephants. The very tracks I've been looking at. There we go. They've been zigzagging. Looks like they've been visiting all of these marula trees. I'm lucky we came back towards quarantine. Oh, that's great. That's good news. I thought I hadn't seen these tracks here before. And they're going to obviously come to this. Oh, it looks like they've been to this marula tree already. Your hat, please. with the young bull as well. Hello everybody. Last station looking for a law of quarantine, Vuyatela. Yeah, confirm same lock as this morning. Okay, copied. That one's wearing a Trichoceros on its head. I wonder why they're in such a hurry, actually. Quite unusual, to be honest. There is a law of a quite mobile waist. Until they get to the marula tree. I think they just want to make sure that they're the first ones at that marula tree. But that's so cute that it's going to lose it because it's bobbing its head. It's just lost it now. Little one was wearing one of those roadside pimpernels on its head. It was quite cute. I can actually see them picking up some marulas now. No, they stopped eating marulas now on the junction of Vuya's access and quarantine. The big rush was to get to this tree. I'm hoping that they're quite hot ellies and they need to go and have a swim. Scott, come in. Scott, you copy? Alex, come in. Yes. Could you please tell him that those Ngala and Arathusa Safari are at Red Dam now, not in the same place as this morning? Affirmative. And Dlorf now on western edge of quarantine. She's visiting marula trees quite clearly. Go through the bush a little bit, pick up maybe a little bit of vegetation here and there to mix in with all these marula fruits that they're picking up. See if we can stop in the shade here, we'll get a better, we won't get so much light behind them, although thanks Jennifer, as Jennifer says, there is this beautiful light on them. I'd like to maybe try and get around to the west of them, but it's just nice to get the way this light comes through the grasses. I think it's just pretty amazing, just a little bit on the shadow side of things. Hello little child, little boy of maybe about 3 years old. They're going to head through eventually to Rebecca's Road. They're also probably going to go into this mud wallow at the bottom of the dip, the western side of Quarantine. Get onto the hooks. Oops. Oh. Tree stumps hidden in the grasses. Trying to get onto the western side so we can get some nice light on it from another angle. The little boy just off to our right, just tagging along with the herd. Must be one of the teenage boys getting a little bit independent, slowly but surely lagging behind and enjoying his freedom as a teenager. Certainly on a mission, this little herd of Ellies. They've been at the mud. This little cow coming past us now, well, she's not little, she's just small in stature, but she's not that young either. One now on the left. She's got some dried mud on her. It looks like she's only recently dried up. Which station coming to Ndlov? Sorry, go again. Oh no, that's cool. They're just crossing now into that Kovanin on the western side of Quarantine. Alex, I was on the other radio. Go again, please. Hello, Maurice. Yeah, well, thanks for your question, wanting to know what age it is that the young elephants start eating vegetation. And it starts at a very young age, actually, Mauricia. Probably within the first few months, probably at about 3 to 5 months already, it's picking at things. It's starting to learn and taste things. So it's not a quick transition. It's not like a case of it stops drinking from mom and then immediately goes on to solids. It's a gradual process. It's a process whereby the youngster will be dependent on milk for even up to 2 years, sometimes longer, But right throughout that process, it is eating vegetation from a very young age. It's learning how to use its trunk. Even when it doesn't know how to use its trunk properly, it's walking past vegetation that mom is eating, and it's opening its mouth and it's putting vegetation in its mouth and it's tasting things. It's learning from a young age. So there isn't a very specific age that happens. I think they maybe been rushing a little bit to get into this tree line because it's pretty hot out there in the sunshine. And now they're pretty well spread out in this tree line. Getting down into the drainage line, it's getting pretty thick here now. I'm going to battle to try and follow them. Hey, Mrs. Ellie. Where's all the babies? Hello, girl. Don't even glance in my direction. Could be they're rushing to a mud wallow even. Let's see if we can keep up with them. I'd like to see them if they get to this mud wallow. That'll be fun because the little ones will have a ball. Matter of whether we're going to be able to follow them or not. If it gets too thick, I might just have to leave them. I believe there is another young male down in Philemon's Dip. The young bull. As long as the cow is lactating, and she's clearly lactating, this cow we're following, she's also quite clearly the matriarch, and she's quite relaxed in our presence. We've got to be careful not to approach her too quickly from behind. But when a cow is lactating, even 5 or 6 year old calves will take a chance at having a drink because they still like the taste of milk, they still like to have a suckle from time to time. So weaning isn't a cut and dried process. Some calves will be weaned by 2 or 3, some will try their luck and still be drinking by 5 or 6 if they can get some. She's trying to dig out that little acacia. It looks like a little acacia. Wrapping it around her trunk and kicking at it. Well, there we go, she's got it. Kicking it with the foot. From Steventown in New York State. I wonder where that is. I've never heard of Steventown. Up near Rochester or something. Hello there. And is that... Well, there's a European bee eater as well. Is that a big Madonna? Okay, copy. Also a little bit stressed. Most of the females at this time of the year are leaking from their temporal glands, as you can see. Most of them are probably stressed because of the bulls that are in must, and no doubt bulls that are hassling them, I guess. I have no idea until I see what it is that is either hassling them or causing stress in these females. Could be heat, could be a number of things. Only they really know. It's not making them it's not affecting their temperament much, but it's. I see the rest of the herd seems to have crossed the drainage line heading up to Rebecca's Road already. Just saw the back of one on the other side there, so they didn't even stop at a mud wallow. I'm thinking that maybe they're meeting up with some other elephants. Question from New York. I'm just trying to think, who was that from? Joyce? No. And how long after giving birth do they come into estrus again? It's probably around about 2.5 years or more. 2 years roughly, 2.5 years. You see, because they're nursing for at least 2 years, they're not going to come into estrus for 2 years. So from the time of falling pregnant, it's almost 2 years to pregnancy, almost 2 years to let me start that again. When they fall pregnant, almost 2 years to giving birth, and then from birth, at least 2 years of nursing, and then at least another 6 months or more after nursing, which time they I suppose it's nearly 5 years all in all in between each cycle. What's this?
Spider with the crust.
Oh,
God knows, you say.
yeah. Since we can't really follow her much more, let's just go and have a look at that. It's actually a very rare species. I should take a photo for the Spider Club. Put this one in the front. Very interesting spider, one of the Iraniids and one of the garden orb spiders. Anybody can feel free to post it on the Facebook page of the South African Spider Club. Only because it's not a very common species of garden orb. And what we're looking at, those zigzags, are known as the stabilimentum of a spider's web. And it helps for the spider to conceal itself. It also makes the web a little bit more visible to some of the larger creatures that it doesn't want to fly into the web and of course break it, and in the process has to rebuild the web. There's another more common species of garden orb that's more silver, black and silver and yellow, that you find especially going up into the Highveld and the grasslands and the Highveld. Maybe leadwood. Still got a lot of growing to do, those spiders. They're only halfway through the season. They'll be quite big by the time the season ends. Very similar to the golden orb, but these are known as the garden orbs. Quite a common garden spider and very beneficial to have in the garden on account of the different insects that they prey on. Okay, we can't follow them, unfortunately. I'm going to go and have a look, see if there might still be a bull or two out in the open area eating marula fruits. Might just be so. We can find our way out of here. The road 10 feet away, 10, 20 meters away. Just got to get through here to get there. Sickle bush is not the best thing to be driving over. There's a nice bull. Don't know how we missed him earlier, but let's go and see him. Question from Just Minnesota. Hello, Just in Minnesota. How is the matriarch determined in elephant society? Well, it's inherited, really. Just it's all a case of the whole concept of the whole makeup of the herd is actually it's a matriarch, obviously, and maybe that's why she's running away, because she's heard this bull and she's trying to get as far away as possible. He's coming straight for us. Maybe we'll just wait and see which marula. He's either coming to this marula tree on our left or this little one on our right. Both of them have marula fruits. So we'll just wait for him to get here rather than go to him. Always a better option when it comes to elephants. But the matriarchal society is always a cow and her daughters and their daughters, and so it's always a very close-knit family. So he's coming to this one on our right. And that close-knit family means that when the matriarch does pass on, her daughters are going to be old enough to be able to take over their own family groups. In other words, you might find two fairly old females whose mom passes away, and they've always been second to her as the matriarch, and when she moves on, they're both old enough, they've both learnt well enough by then, but they've also by that stage maybe had 2 or 3 calves of their own. They are then able to break away from each other and become the matriarchs of their own herds. So it's not something that, like lion or in other male-dominated societies, where you get a taking over of who's in charge. There's nothing like that at all in elephant society. In elephant, it's all about the succession to the throne, as it were, and as soon as a female moves on, her daughters then become their own matriarchs of their own herds. Oh wow, did you see that?
Yeah.
Oh, he punched that tree. And dozens and dozens of marula trees falling as he does that. Now I've seen them do that with palm trees, with mangosteens, with a host of different trees, and enough fruits fell for him to stand there for a while. It takes a lot of learning to be able to punch a tree like that and be effective, but also the timing of repeatedly, when I say punching, it's sort of really head-butting or nose-butting. It's curling his trunk around, and it's almost as though it's knocking it with the top of his nose more than anything else. And because of the slight give in the tree, there's a very distinct rhythm that is required. Funny how that marula tree is growing with a little kink in it. That's just the perfect height for it to be bumped. quite a bumper crop of marulas this year, and these elephant, they're not chancing upon all these trees. These elephant are the same elephant that use these trees that come past here every year, or even maybe a couple of times a year, but they probably make a point of coming here at this time of the year, especially to feed on these marula fruits. And although we've seen a lot of the fruits coming out whole in the dung of the elephants, they are deriving some pleasure from it. Some of them they're biting into, and some of them they are absorbing some of the nutrients and the vitamins from some of the fruits, if only a small percentage. Andrew, come in. Yeah, sorry if I caught the last of that. Are you talking about those Ngala? Okay, copy, thanks. Yeah, I'm just busy with someone with Ndlovu on quarantine, and then I'm going to go and have a look. Okay, copy. There I can see the other herd that's crossed the drainage line to the west. He's not a particularly large elephant. He's got a nice pair of tusks for his size. I mean, he's probably in his early 20s, which means that when he becomes a really big ellie, he's going to be a magnificent bull in 20 or 30 years' time, because his tusks for his age are already quite impressive. Interesting. Sorry, Alex, I'm busy. Yeah, Mark, I'll go and stand by there, please. Is that Robert? Hello, William. Yeah, I might make my way there shortly, please, if possible. Something very interesting has just happened. Alright, thanks, Andrew. So much for killing time with elephants. Very interesting development that I believe there's a young leopard that is making its way to that buffalo kill. I'm not much of a one to leave a lovely little ellie like this behind, but I think we need to be there to see the dynamics of what's going on, because this is very, very interesting. See you later, dude. Thanks for sharing your space with us and allowing us to be here. We will see you. Yeah, bye. Bye. He was lifting his trunk, so I was giving him my hand. Bye. Whilst William says it's quarantine mail, isn't it? But yesterday, wasn't Kanyeni there yesterday? Of course, doesn't mean to say that it is Kanyeni. But I think we need to go and have a look, so we might get a chance to do that. I believe the lion are pretty flat, and they're not going to be too pleased with the young leopard feeding on their buffalo kill if they find out. And well, he no doubt will race up a tree if he gets caught, and they'll be a little bit too hot and bothered to maybe chase him. So let's go and see what we can find while we're here. Make a fun afternoon out of this. Cuckoo, that looks like a European or African cuckoo. Okay, so while I'm trying to copy that radio, let's see. Sorry, Alex, I need you to come back to me with what you had there. I was listening to what was going on. Interesting. Karen in London. Good afternoon to you, Karen. Far Karen. Wanting to know if the elephants are instrumental in the germination of the marula trees as they are with the apple ring up in the Zambezi Valley. I suppose Manapuz, those beautiful Faidherbia albida apple ring trees. They used to be acacias, now they're known as Faidherbia albida. Magnificent trees. Their seed pods are highly nutritious. The pulp in the seed pods are really quite tasty, and the seeds very similar to all the acacias, very hard coating on the seed that requires the digestive system of animals and the rotting of the dung for it to be able to germinate. Now the marula not quite the same, although it does help. I mean, we've seen in the dry season, or later in the wet season rather, where these lumps of or as we've seen sometimes with big lumps of elephant dung, how suddenly you'll get 15, 20 marula trees coming out of it. But I suppose the marula trees are actually dependent on a number of things, and one of the things, of course, is the squirrel, because squirrels will gather marula nuts and or stones for the nuts, and they'll bury them and try and find them again at some point. And very often that's how marulas will germinate, because William, come in for Mark. Kanangena, please. Thank you. Okay, right, let's just hold off on elephants for now. But thanks for that question from London. And yes, well, elephants help with the germination most certainly, but not the only ones. I suppose in a way with the anna tree or the apple ring, not necessarily the only animal. Kudu and other bushbuck and other animals will no doubt also be feeding on those pods and also germinating seeds once they've finished. Okay, so let's go and see what's happening here. Just quickly, a bottle of water that somebody dropped. Quite sure it's not intentional. That's it. The carcass has moved from when I saw it earlier. Hello, monkey orange. When are you going to get oranges? People want to see oranges. There's one growing. Look here. Hello, everybody. How are you? Fine, thanks. Where's Ingwe? Ingwe is there, and Ngala's Lalapans. Okay. Let's go and see. Thanks, Celia. I don't know if we're going to see a leopard from this angle, because we've got one of them at timbers here. Did you get that monkey orange? We're going to be able to look at that a lot more in the future, or a lot closer to the monkey oranges, maybe in the next few days, be able to see them growing. I can't go any further here, because he's there. There's the other male down there. So, is he eating that male? Looks like it. He's pulling. Yeah, he's eating, but as long as, see if we can find this leopard. Looks like they've moved this carcass around quite a bit. Thank you, Alex. Scott is with the Breakaway Pride on Arathusa. Can't get through there, can't get through here. Bigger, please. Gosh, it's hot. So we've got. Oh, look, there's a giraffe. All right, we're going to come back. We're going to come back to the site, and now. Just going to look at Dlamini. Can't not look at a giraffe that has been. This must be whose tracks I saw crossing Gary Main earlier today. We're going to come back here. Like a kid in a candy shop now. Where do we go first? We've got giraffe. We're going to go and find a leopard that's trying to sneak in. And lovely big bull. magnificent. That dark and chocolatey is very distinct marking, quite unusual markings in fact. Move him off too much, but yeah, it's just a quick glimpse of the giraffe, and nice to know that he's around. So tomorrow morning we can maybe follow up on his tracks and find him again, I hope. So much happening in such a small area. I mean, within a couple of 100 yards we've got elephants and lion and leopard and giraffe. Scott over on Alice Shoes has got some lion, but I'm going to try and get a glimpse of this leopard first before we cross over to Scott. If I can just find. Anybody drop water? Oh. Is he visible? Maybe from the pans on the other side of the drainage line? No. Ah, I know that tree. Okay, cool. Nice big lamiti just in here. Thanks. Huh? Going in here. You're going in here. Really not much of a visual of our young spotted friend. Let's see what we can do. There's a leopard playing with fire, really. Sitting around here with... So yeah, smell things that make it smell like... Oh, here he is. It's okay, don't go, don't go. I'm sorry, Boyki. It's okay, I'm not coming any closer. Back there a little bit. And I'll just turn in here. There he is. Going into some thicker bush. I guess he's lucky that the scent of this kill is very, very strong and overpowering, and I suppose there's not much likelihood of them picking up his scent. And I'm sure it's probably the scent of him, or rather the scent of the kill, that's brought him a little bit closer. And I'm sure he's got a straight line view of those lion, or at least one of them, the one that's eating. Very strong smell of kill. I wonder, must have been yesterday at least that they killed this buffalo. When was it that Scott and I were tracking? Must have been yesterday afternoon. Let's go back a little bit because we got that leaf obscuring his face. No shortage of trees if he needs a tree, but I don't think the lion will have the energy to bother, really. If anything, he's going to need it to defend himself against hyena that are likely to come in later today. Lynn, hello Lynn, saying that he must be hungry if he's going to try and eat from a lion kill. I don't know if he's going to try and eat, Lynn. It's certainly attracted his attention. It's brought him here. He's wise enough to keep his distance. But yes, I would say it would make it would be a fair comment to say that he must be hungry if it's brought him here. But we do have to remember that cats are very much opportunists, and a leopard is not averse to eating off of a carcass and scrounging. And we've even seen in Duna or Meshu, when we had that buffalo kill in front of Vuyatela many years ago, how they scavenged on that carcass days after the lion had left it. Just one blade of grass in his face, in the way. Well, two or three. Well, as I thought, it is Kanuma who was here yesterday. Are Scotch lions doing anything? Okay, copy, thanks. So if anything happens with that breakaway pride, I don't even know who they are. These ex-Salalas, I think, or something. If they start getting active, we'll switch to Scott. For now, I'd like to see what happens here. I'd like to monitor this. It's hard to monitor both lion and leopard at the same time unless he moves and we can get lower down a little bit, and I think we can see up the drainage line maybe to it. The other lion is actually feeding on the carcass still. But from this angle, you see, yesterday, was it yesterday? Must have been yesterday. I found his tracks coming down Philemon's Dip, going off towards the sausage tree. And I didn't come this way because there was a big buffalo bull lying in the wallow just off of Philemon's Dip, right there next to the road, within like 4 feet of the road. And when I came back to the vehicle loaded with my arms full of sausages from the sausage tree to show you all, that buffalo took fright and he tore down this drainage line as though there was lion after him. But of course it wasn't because there were lion after him, it was because I was there and he was frightened of me. And then later on, Scott found the tracks of this little boy crossing the road, coming on, following where that buffalo had run. Scott said he saw the tracks where the buffalo had been running, and then found him. And I wonder if maybe that buffalo is not the same buffalo that these lions must have killed last night. Very strange. But most likely, weird chain of events. He's watching a squirrel jumping through trees on the other bank. Interesting. Deborah, Michigan. How far is he from the lion kill? I would say about 20 yards. They're just behind. There's this very big bush off to sort of the front left of us over here. This is a big bush willow. Big red, was it russet bush willow?
There's a lion over there somewhere.
Can you see it over there? Somewhere through there is a lion on its back. Less than 100 feet away. Very strong smell of carcass here. You're going to go to sleep, boy? Because you're not going to get anything now. Of course, it's going to be very interesting to come in tomorrow morning and see what's going on in the morning after all of this. Especially because there are bound to be hyena coming through here tonight. No doubt keeping their distance from the lion, but they probably wouldn't hesitate to hassle a leopard. As long as the lion are preoccupied with the kill, they're not really worried. Well, they're not going to be too concerned with him, even if they know that he's here. There's the likelihood that one of them might chase him, but as long as he keeps his distance, that he can see from where they're coming, or can see them from a distance before as they come towards him. He's got a bunch of options of trees that he can get up. He can also, just across the drainage line, he's probably far more agile running up that bank and onto a tree on the opposite bank than big male lions with bellies full of buffalo. Nice to have some cold water on our day. Beautiful cat. Oh, we're going to try and fill up the rest of the afternoon as quick or as much as we can with cats. So we're going to go over to Arathusa. We're going to see what Scott's got on Arathusa with that breakaway pride. Hang on, where's he going? He's watching something move around in the grass off to our left. But I guess if anything serious happens, he's just keeping vigil, making sure that the cats, those boys, aren't coming here towards him. Oh, there, that lion set up, that's what it is. Just quickly give you an idea. He's now sneaking down into the drainage line because that lion set up, and he's probably just trying to keep a very low profile. And then as soon as we get a glimpse of this lion sitting up, he's having a yawn. Lion to the left of me, spotted cats to the right, and here I am stuck in the middle with you. So we'll go and see what Scott's got, and we'll be back shortly.
Welcome back, folks. And what you can see here is a blanket of lions all piled up on one another. I actually haven't counted them, but there are in total 13 members of this pride called the Breakaway Pride, and it was 4 lionesses from the Salala Pride, which typically spend more time in the southern and central Sabi Sands. But 4 lionesses broke away from that Salala Pride and now have started pushing further north. And look at that for a sight. Now, wouldn't it be amazing if we saw them on the move? And we might get lucky a little bit later, but sadly we do have to make space for another vehicle shortly. But I'm hoping their stay with these lions will be short-lived and we may be able to sneak back in. Here's another large lioness. This would have been one of the 4 adults that have broken away. And it's almost probably worth giving you a little shot of the sunset quickly too after VM's finished panning across with this lion. And then we will make our way out of here, sadly. But depending on what happens, we may potentially be able to join up with them a little bit later. And let's just see how things pan out. Okay, well, I can hear vehicles approaching, folks, so I'm going to start moving out, and I'm guessing Alex may link back to Mark at any moment. So, like I say, I'm going to stick around, and hopefully once these lions move out, start moving and all the game viewers move off, we can possibly rejoin this and potentially do a later broadcast, but we'll just see how things go. So, over to Mark and enjoy that very, very interesting sighting that is going on over there. I did mention to VM this afternoon that there's a chance Kunyuma may try his luck, and lo and behold, he has done that. So, very interesting sighting that is going to unfold there. And enjoy that with Mark and Jason, and we'll catch up with you a little bit later.
Well, as Jason says, this little cat is playing with fire. He is creeping closer and closer to this buffalo kill. Managed to get a sight of both of those males. The other one's actually moved off of the carcass. And he's wide-eyed, looking very wide-eyed at these 2 boys lying down. Can you see him? I've actually got one of the lion looking at him. There's the kill down the drain. Well, we'll get there shortly.
What is this?
Hmm?
What is this?
Oh, that's your new tree for the day.
Yes.
Zulu milkberry. Or is it a... Yeah, milkberry. See the yellow vein in the middle of the leaf?
Yeah.
Little clusters of leaves. Got the berries too. Where are you going, cat? He's just watching. And the boys are not doing anything really. And I'm wondering if we're going to get out of here. We should be able to. It's a Land Rover. It's easy enough getting down here.
She's walking up that way. I think so.
I wonder if he's going to sneak down behind them. Can you see him still?
Yeah.
Because I go there, just see his head. I lost sight of the Zingwe. He's crossed the Zinkova and gone up onto the other side, onto the northern bank. Andrew, there is that track after Philemon's dip that comes back this way. I don't know if you'd get to see him from there. Yeah, firm. You'll see where all the movers are Ngena Deslatin. Make too much noise. We're in some water here, but fortunately it's mostly sandy. The idea is actually just to try and get back out where we came in. get there again from here. Maybe. Okay, just before we knock off, because these lions are sleeping in there, and there's sort of one good place to get to view them. Andrew's sitting there, and of course with them on their sides and their backs. I want to, if we can't just get around to the other side and pick up on this little boy. I know there is a track on the other side of this drainage line. We've often been in there with elephant and lion. I remember having lion drinking out of those pans in the past. Had elephant drinking out of those pans in the past, and it'd be nice if we can get around there and try and get a view of him again. Andrew, I'm going to go around and see if I can find Igwe. Yeah, did you see where I was in the drainage line? Yeah, it was just, it's where I was in front of me by about 20 feet or so, so it's down there in the bottom. So we've got to get past where those vultures are. It's more or less where he is, and that's more or less where those pans are. It could well be that since the lion were flat and he picked up the scent of things, something going on, and he came to have a look to scavenge, and being a wise little cat, he kept his distance to make sure that everything was safe, and in the process he found too that the lion was starting to get active, and maybe he's made a retreat. The other possibility is that what he's done is come onto this bank, and he's going to try and drop down from this bank close to their kill, and he'll, like a jackal, he'll sneak in there and maybe grab a bite before they chase him off, and he can just run straight up that bank and climb a tree if he needs to. Here are the two, the Bateleur and the Tawny Eagle, by the looks of things. Don't fly, children, please don't fly. Two very clear markers that there's a carcass nearby. Sorry, you're trying to zoom and I'm trying to drive. But we're limited with time, so if we can just get close to the bank where we are here, we might be able to see him again now. Guessing. Just in here where we were, and this is where the first pan is, this first mud wallow. If I can make it between these mud wallows without getting stuck. Baby terrapin. Oops. Doing a lot of that these days. Trying to idle and go slowly and possible. Look at that one dead brick stick. We're a little bit off here. No, there the track's coming down that we came down, so he is somewhere right here in front of us. Negative, I'm looking for the leopard. No. Looked a lot more open from the other side, but I'm not too sure. We might just be a little bit off my calculation, or I wouldn't say our, so I'm the one driving, my calculations, or my estimate where he is. Oh well, it's getting kind of dark. Are we going back to Scott at all? Alex, if he's with them, then maybe we can cut him while I'm trying to extract myself here. Alright, copy that. Scott's trying to get into position again with those lions. I remember seeing lions sleeping here on this eroded patch many years ago. There he is. Much safer position for him than down there next to the lion. But it's a nice relief that we've actually managed to thanks, Andrew. I'm just with the Ingwe on the other side. Yeah, our firm is Lalapanzi here in the open, 5 out of 5. Negative Kanuma. A leopard biding its time. It's a free meal. And kind of a free meal for him if he manages to get in there. I think he's being highly optimistic. We know what these Matimbas are like when they get onto a buffalo. They sit around for days until it's almost all gone. Also, there's no telling what can happen this evening as far as hyena are concerned. And, well, I guess the mystery is going to be what happens tomorrow, what we manage to find tomorrow. A tired kitty cat. And that hippo I just heard. Back at Gari Dam. Suddenly there's everything. There's another elephant on Weaver's Nest, where that giraffe was. It's funny how things are just, once it starts cooling down, how suddenly things start coming out, and a little different to the last couple of days that have been a little quiet. It's been a bit hard finding animals. Franklin shouting made him lift his head, reminding him to be alert. What was that? There was a bumper sticker in the 70s and 80s. Be alert. Your country needs alerts. He's alert. A leopard alert. Crucial for his survival that he hears the most subtlest of sounds, being such close proximity to his arch enemies, two big male lions. They wouldn't hesitate to try and get him. Of course, he's faster than them in the short run, but far enough away from them that he can get a good head start and get away. And also, being big male lions, they are not going to be able to get up a tree very easily, and that's all he really has to do. And I would assume that he's weighing up his options with all the little trees around. There aren't very many big ones. There are a couple of scraggly little bush willows, small marula behind us, and more marulas further back going away from the drainage line. Hello, John. Interesting question from John, asking if it would not be safer for him to wait it out up a tree. It would be, John, if there were some decent trees where he could wait it out and get a good view. The other thing is, though, it's been a very hot afternoon without a breeze. It would probably have been a bit hotter in a tree, unless he could have found a very, very thick, dense tree with a lot of cover. At this stage of the game, I don't think he's really too worried about his safety, because those lions are full and they're sleeping. And he's not that close that he is in that much danger. But you might find under different circumstances, you might find a leopard would maybe wait it out in a tree. Or you might find that the leopard will be chased up the tree and has got no choice but to wait it out in the tree until the lion move off. It's just, this is what it is right now. And as far as he's concerned, he's fine on the ground. And he's willing to wait it out here. I don't think they know that he's here. I'm not going to leave the light on him much longer, because if he moves, they might see him from down there. I don't want to really be highlighting him. I haven't got a main light on him. I've just got my side LEDs that just lighten it up a little bit. But I think it's also going to be time to leave him be. Particularly because if it's getting too dark, we cannot be shining on him. And we also need to be moving out of here now. It's getting time to... I think I'm going to be saying goodbye and maybe going over to see what's happening with Scott and the lion on Arethusa. In the meantime, I'm going to just try and move out of here. Good night, young Kanyuma. Quarantine. Kanyuma. Oh, I don't know, it's Kanyuma. What did the people say, Alex? I thought Kanyuma.
Pretty sure you're right, sorry.
Okay, there with his face looking at us now. So, we're going to say goodnight to him, and I'm going to say goodnight to you all. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have the rest of the afternoon, after a hot afternoon. So lucky and full of wonderful things. I want to do a whole lot of things tomorrow. I want to follow up on him and the boys, the two timbers. I want to follow up on that lovely big giraffe, and of course the elephant too. And who knows, we might even be able to follow up on those lion on Arethusa. So from me and Jason, thanks for joining us on Jigger this afternoon, and we'll go over and see what Scott's up to. And I'll see you in the morning. Love you lots. Bye everyone. Bye.
Welcome back, folks. And not much has changed here, as you can see. The lions are still fast asleep, so my predictions for them getting up at around 7 were completely wrong, as we often are out here. But they are beginning to get a little bit restless, and we're seeing a little bit of movement from them. And I'm hoping that in a bit of time they will get up. This one's completely rolled over onto its back. So for now, no major excitement. But I really would like to see them get up and move around. To see all 13 of them on the move will be something very special to see. And I do want to make the most of this wonderful opportunity. And we can see a lot more stretching now. And heads are starting to pop up, so things are looking good. And it's just a waiting game now, but it's a beautiful, beautiful, cool evening here. And myself and Wiem are thoroughly enjoying ourselves. As I hope you are too. So Kanyuma didn't move far from where we saw him yesterday evening, and it isn't, as I'm sure Mark said, uncommon for young leopard to take their chances stealing from lion. I have seen it a handful of times before. Risky business, so let's hope he doesn't get caught out, because if the lion do manage to get a hold of him, that will be the end of that. I'm very interested to see where this pride moves to tonight. They haven't been onto this property so far in the 2 months that I've been here, so it will be very interesting. It wasn't easy getting into position here, and vehicles are having to take some chances on the way out. There's some serious angles. So everyone's holding on for dear life. How's it going, buddy? Thanks very much. Have a good evening, folks. I hope you make it round the corner. Oh, yes, our first line is up. This is the moment we have been waiting for. Now, we are positioned very close to a small waterhole. We are between the lion and the waterhole, and I'm hoping they all go down and drink simultaneously. That will be something magical to see. But we may have to wait some time for that to happen. Wonderful, and the side lighting from the other game vehicle worked magically. I'm not sure if you can copy me, I can copy you. The light is perfect. Wonderful, thank you. How beautiful is this, folks? And again, what is enhancing this beauty is the perfect side lighting from the other game view in this sighting. It's as if they're part of our team working with us to show you the best shots, and this is magical. It could well be one of the adult lionesses grooming a sub-adult. That's what it looks like to me. So one of the mothers taking care of her youngsters. What an incredible angle. We are eye level with them, which is certainly helping with the view that you're getting. Thankfully, we are in a depression that leads down towards this waterhole, and we are leaning at a very awkward angle, but the shot that you're getting is magical due to this angle, this low angle. It's as if we're lying down in the grass with them. And there are some buffalo very close by, well, at least there were half an hour ago. A few big buffalo bulls. So it'll be interesting to see where they moved off to. I didn't actually see them. I heard another game viewer say they were very close to these lion. And I just saw that lioness pick up her head and look across down towards where the buffalo were. And I wonder if she heard them. I'm not sure, even though there's a lot of them, I'm not sure if they would manage to take down buffalo, because the majority of these youngsters are sub-adults, so they aren't going to aid greatly to the hunting process, especially with the bigger game. Oh, this is beautiful. They're all getting up now. This is what we were waiting for. One of the big lionesses has also just got up, and she's going to come back into your shot now. She's lifting her head into the air. She can smell something. Look at that. And hopefully, I think this is a good opportunity for us actually to potentially reposition. But let's see if they don't all get up and follow her. She could well be in charge of this operation. And I'm guessing that the rest will shortly follow her. It is quite thick here, so we may have some trouble staying with them when they do get on the move. But I do want to wait until such points, because, like I say, to see 13 of these animals on the move at night is going to be very special. So that is the plan. We're not sure how long it will take, and if it does take too long, we may have to abort mission. But at this stage, that is the plan. Beautiful. It's looking much better without it. I think it is going to be worth us repositioning. So, bear with us as we creep around to another spot. got so caught up in the moment there, I forgot what we were actually doing here. So forgive me for not saying anything, but this is just absolutely beautiful. They are passing very close between two vehicles here, so VM will probably just stay on this one shot. Absolutely beautiful and very relaxed with the vehicles. I'm sure now the rest of the crowd are going to follow suit and all get up and start moving. It appears that the majority, which are still behind us, and it's hard to believe that there's still lots more, are all now kind of simultaneously lifting up their heads and realizing that it's time to go. I am hoping that we are going to be able to follow them through. It's a very thick area. Really beautiful setting to see them in. What does the night have in store for these lion, I wonder? It's a beautiful evening. And even though it's dark, there's still quite a lot of light in the sky. perfect hunting weather. There's no moon at the moment, so I think that's Venus. VM's busy showing you on the western horizon. I'm almost certain it's Venus. So not a star, but a planet. And that would make sense because that reflection is coming from the sun, and that's why we can see that planet reflecting. Whereas there's too much light on that western horizon to see any stars. Thanks very much, Joe. Have a good evening. Okay, cool, thanks. Hopefully. Okay. Need to make sure I don't run over any line here, because the grass is so long. Ooh. I think we're going to carry on and try and follow these other individuals, folks. I don't know how easy it's going to be, but we'll try for as long as we can. Oh, this is so exciting. So we've left about, I think, 5 or 6 Pride members behind us, and they'll follow the scent trail of these lion that we are busy following. So they'll have no problem keeping up with them, and I'm sure we'll start following soon. Oof, we just drove past one's dropping, and it is not a pleasant smell. Would you like me to shine? Let's probably after them. Okay, how are you doing there? VM, would you like me to shine, or are you good? Hey?
We're fine for now.
Cool. Look at all these lions! Oh, Rush One's having a little toilet break ahead of us here. So we will let it finish its business, and then we will continue with them. This is beautiful. Yeah. So they're all around us now, and the other Pride members are beginning to catch up. But look down the road ahead of us. That's a beautiful sight. Look at all those lions. That right there is a beautiful sight. And there's another one that you might hear rustling in the bushes as it passes us. But here goes another one passing by. One of them just sneezed up front. Absolutely wonderful. Oh, that one in front just fell into a little hole. Sadly though, it appears that they are now heading into an area where we will not be able to follow them. But isn't this just a wonderful shot, folks?
Watch this.
This, oh, wonderful. Getting the claws ready for a night out hunting. And not uncommon for a lion to get up, move a short distance, and then lie down again, and that's what they're all doing. But let's hope they keep on the move. I'm not sure how long we are going to be able to stay with them. We have already run quite considerably over time, and there's still a long way back initially to Djuma to offload all the equipment, and then back to Magnoleti for us, and we sadly do have time restrictions. So due to that fact and the nature of the terrain that they're heading into, we will probably let them disappear off into this thicket and hope that they have a successful night and hopefully end up on Djuma tomorrow. That would be first prize. Oh, they are all listening very intently now. They have all stopped. There must be something up there. Keep watching closely. The youngsters may hash things, and often do, but they all stopped, and there was a sound of a branch breaking up ahead. I'm not sure what it was. But they have appeared to kind of relax again and go back into a more relaxed mode. So on that note, I'm very glad, folks, that we did get to see them, and what a wonderful evening it's been. I'm so glad you could join us, and it's not every day that we have a day with so much excitement and so many cats and this kind of an opportunity, and that's why we've run over time, and I hope you've really enjoyed it. To see those cats all moving down together, especially the one shots of them disappearing into the shadows, is what it's all about. So I'm very glad we got to share that with you, and from myself and Viam, good night, goodbye, and I will see you tomorrow afternoon. It's marked up in the morning, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night, depending on where you are in the world. Bye.